The colony of New Terra had survived 300 years on the edge of known space, but nothing had prepared them for the whispered IT started as a low hum in the electromagnetic spectrum, barely detectable by their outdated sensors. Within a week, colonists began falling into comas, their minds trapped in endless nightmares. The medical AI was useless. Every remedy failed. Desperation settled over the village like ash. Emma stood at the edge of the quarantine zone, watching through reinforced glass as another family wept over their sleeping child. As the colony's xenolinguist, she'd spent years studying the ruins scattered across New Terra's surface, monuments left by a civilization that had vanished millennia ago. Now, those ruins were screaming. "It's getting worse," Jack said, appearing beside her. The chief engineer's face was haggard, dark circles beneath his eyes. He'd been awake for 72 hours straight, trying to build a shield against the whisper. "We've lost 43 people now. The council is talking about evacuation." "Evacuation to where?" Emma's voice was hollow. "The nearest colony is 8 months away. We'd lose life support before we made it halfway." Jack's jaw tightened. He knew she was right. They both did. Emma turned away from the quarantine wing and headed toward her research lab. Jack followed without being asked. Over the past week, they'd formed an unspoken partnership, her knowledge of the ancients and his technical expertise, working desperately to find a solution. Her workspace was covered in holographic projections of alien script, three-dimensional maps of the ruins, and audio waveforms of the whisper. She'd been comparing them obsessively, searching for patterns. "There," she said, pointing at a section of symbols carved into what they'd called the Temple of Echoes. "These glyphs repeat in the whisper's frequency. It's not random noise. It's language." Jack leaned closer, studying the overlapping patterns. "You think the ruins are talking to us? More like screaming a warning we can't understand." Emma pulled up another file, seismic data from beneath the temple. "There's something deep underground. Some kind of technology still active after all this time. I think it's designed to protect against something, but without the right command codes, it's just lashing out indiscriminately." "Command codes in a language no human can speak," Jack muttered. "Perfect." Emma's fingers trembled as she reached for a small device on her desk, a neural interface translator she'd been developing to study ancient data fragments. It was experimental, dangerous even. The few test subjects who'd tried similar technology from other colonies had suffered severe neurological damage. "There might be a way," she said quietly. Jack's eyes widened as he realized what she was suggesting. "No, absolutely not. Emma, that thing could fry your brain. Or it could let me understand them." She met his gaze steadily. 43 people, Jack. By tomorrow it could be 100. Someone has to try. Then let me do it. Your brain is more valuable than mine. You actually understand this stuff. Which is exactly why it has to be me." Emma's hand closed around the neural interface. "I've spent 5 years learning their culture, their symbols, their way of thinking. If anyone has a chance of surviving the integration, it's me." Jack grabbed her wrist, his grip desperate. "Emma, please. There has to be another way." She placed her free hand over his. "You know there isn't. We're out of time." The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken words. Finally, Jack released her wrist and moved to the medical station, preparing the necessary equipment with shaking hands. "If you die," he said, his voice rough, "I'm going to be very angry with you." "Noted." Emma managed a weak smile as she lay back on the examination table. "If this works, I'll need you to get me to the temple. Fast." Jack positioned the neural interface against her temple, his fingers lingering for just a moment. "I'll be right here when you wake up." "Jack, whatever happens, I'll be here." Emma nodded and closed her eyes. "Do it." The activation was instant and agonizing. Ancient data flooded her consciousness. Not just words, but concepts, emotions, memories of a civilization that had faced extinction and built monuments to survive it. She felt her identity fragmenting under the weight of millennia, felt herself drowning in alien thoughts. Then something shifted. The chaos found order. The language crystallized in her mind like ice forming on water. Each symbol, each sound suddenly, perfectly clear. When Emma opened her eyes 6 hours later, Jack nearly collapsed with relief. But his relief turned to shock when she spoke. The words that emerged from her mouth were harsh, melodic, utterly inhuman. The ancient language of New Terra's dead builders. Yet Emma understood every syllable. "It's not a curse," she whispered, switching back to human speech with effort. Her voice carried strange harmonics now, an echo of something other. "It's a quarantine protocol. Something's buried beneath the temple, something they sealed away before they died. The whisper is trying to keep us from accidentally releasing it." Jack helped her sit up, scanning her vitals frantically. "Your neural patterns are completely altered. Emma, what did that thing do to you?" "It gave us a chance." She gripped his arm, her eyes blazing with urgency and something else, something ancient awakening. "Get me to the temple. I can speak to it now. I can tell it we're not a threat." They raced across the colony in Jack's transport, arriving at the Temple of Echoes as the sun set over New Terra's purple horizon. Emma approached the main entrance, placed her palm against the alien metal, and began to speak. The language flowed from her like water, each word resonating with the temple's systems. The whisper responded, its tone shifting from aggression to recognition. Emma negotiated with a machine intelligence that had waited alone for 10,000 years, explaining humanity's presence, promising respect for the ancient seal. When she finished, the whisper faded to silence. In the medical ward, coma patients began to wake. Jack watched Emma collapse, catching her before she hit the ground. Her eyes were still open, still aware, but changed forever. She'd saved them all by bridging the gap between human and alien. But the Emma who looked up at him now was something new, something humanity had never been before. She smiled weakly. "Told you I'd need you here," she said, her voice carrying harmonics of two species. Jack held her close as the first stars emerged above them. "Always," he promised. "No matter what you've become." In that moment, surrounded by ancient ruins and the sleeping dead of an alien civilization, humanity had done what it did best: adapted, sacrificed, and survived against impossible odds. The village was safe, and Emma had become the bridge between humanity's future and the ancient past that had almost destroyed them.